Brenda J. Lilly here from Creative Consultations. I just wanted to put out a small disclaimer before we launch into today's video that says I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm just here to engage, to encourage, and hopefully empower other artists to go out and live their art dream. So here we go. Enjoy the video. Good Monday morning, everybody. It is Monday morning, November 4th, and it's time for another Creative Consultations Monday Morning Kickstart with me, Brenda J. Lilly. I hope you liked today's video. If you do, like it, subscribe, and share it. But especially that last part, share it with everyone you know, you love, and you want to encourage. All right, I will see you on the flip side, everybody. Good Monday morning, everybody. Brenda J. Lilly here. Got my big blue cup of coffee? I hope you have yours. Here we go. So I started thinking about habits, and we've talked about habits before. There's a great book, Atomic Habits, if you're looking about into how to make small changes that will really give you great results in your life. This is a book that will help you. Go get it. Amazon. It's fantastic. I read it about a year ago, implemented some of the things. Fantastic. So I started thinking about habits, and that got me to thinking about creativity. Because I can remember when I was younger, thinking about putting a routine on top of my daily grind made me want to just scream. I thought when I was younger that I functioned best in chaos. In fact, I can remember moments where my mom would come upstairs and come into my room and just look at me. I'm sitting on my bed doing whatever I'm doing. And she'd just look at me and say, "Could you just please make a path through the garbage on the floor so that you have a path to the door and a path to the window? So if there's a fire, you can get out safely." If that resonates with you and makes you giggle, I love that. Share it with me in the comments below. A couple of things there about that moment or those moments with my mom. One of the things I loved about my mom is she didn't say, "You need to clean this room." She just wanted to make sure I could be safe if there was a disaster, right? she wasn't, she was like, "If this is the way you want to live, huzzah, have at it. But make sure you can be safe." That's all she was like, "That's all. That's all. I love you. Just be don't die in a fire because you can't get through the mound of crap on your floor." And I loved that about my mom. She always let me be who I was at the moment, in the moment. She knew I would change and grow. And if there was something she didn't like, she would find a way to address it that didn't make me feel like an idiot or like I was bad and wrong. She was actually, she's a really good mom. But so there was that moment about it. There was also the understanding of chaos. And when I look at that, I realize most of my family likes to live in stacks and piles. So we have stacks of books, piles of things here and there. And I was that for sure. But when I actually cleaned my room, and it was clean and I took the time to do it, I was filled with such a feeling of accomplishment, such a feeling of peace. Like I could go into my room and breathe. Where when there were stacks and piles of crap all over the floor that you'd have to kick aside in order to walk through, life was just hard. It was chaos and my mind would race. When it was clean, my mind could find calm. And so, somewhere along the way, growing into adulthood, that started shifting in me. And I started to say, well, how do I want to live? How do I want my home to feel? Not necessarily to look, but to feel. What is it about my house that I want, that I can create in order to feel a certain way when I walk through the door, right? And that became an understanding of sanctuary for me. Why am I talking about any of this? I'm talking about this because as creative people, some of us function really well in chaos. I remember when I was working at Shakespeare and Company and I was working with the artistic director at the time, her process was full on chaos. The rehearsal hall was full on chaos. It was just creative thought and new thought and do what you think. And I'm not gonna give you any staging. You just do what your character makes you feel and let's see what happens. And as a stage manager, I'm trying to write it all down and trying to put some framework around it. And she would look at me and she would say, don't write this down. This is just them trying to figure it out and we'll figure out what sticks later. Let it just go. Embrace the chaos, Brenda. Embrace the chaos. And I remember looking at her going, okay. Because as a stage manager, I'm not there to embrace the chaos. I'm there to control it. I'm there to hold it. I'm there to put a framework around it. So embracing it seemed counterintuitive, and so I went from being the chaos in my youth, realizing that that didn't actually work for me and my brain and my spirit as a creative individual, and then growing into this place in my adult life where I actually got to use my personality and what makes me my most creative as a stage manager, putting frameworks around other people's potential chaos. So, some of us creative artists function better when there's order and organization. And some of us creatives function better when the place is an absolute pigsty mess and we don't feel like anything's precious, right? I've walked into artist studios that are just the walls are covered in all different kinds of splatter and the floor is just a mottled like coating. Like literally I've walked across an artist floor where the paint was had been spilled and sputtered so much that there were literally bumps on the floor and you could trip over some of them because they had built up. That's where she had painted for so often, and so there was certain. And then I've been in artist studios that everything had its place and its space, and the paints were lined up in order of rainbow color, and and they knew exactly what they were going to do. And when they started, they would sit down, they would sketch, and then they would get to the easel and they would create. And I want to say that What's your process is your process. How you are your most creative self is yours to hold. However, when you are working with other people, you have to take in the way they create too. And maybe as a creative, last week we talked about adventure, right? And how life adventures change us and stretch us and help us to grow. And I think as an artist, one of the greatest adventures can be working with other people because their process is so vastly different than yours. 9 times out of 10, their process is so vastly different than yours. What they see is going to be different. How they perceive the job ahead is going to be different. And how you work together as artists is the adventure and is the thing that will help you grow as an artist, because you're getting another artist's perspective and perception and work ethic added to your environment and the way you do work and the way you structure things and the way you think about things. And as long as one person isn't vying for power or control over another, then that artistic process can succeed really, really well. When there's good communication, when there's good understanding, when there's good wisdom and listening and appreciation for each other's creativity and the process that we go through. But when we try to control it, when we decide we want to be in charge, that it's ours, that can shut down the whole process. Now, you might be working with an artist that is like, it's okay, fine, whatever. That's the way you want to do it. Let's do it that way. I don't care. And if you are, well, then you're not going to have conflict. But if you're not, if you're working with an artist who is as strong willed, as understanding of their process as you are about yours, and creates a certain way and doesn't necessarily want to shift the way, then you are in for a battle. I think we need to learn in these days and times the art of listening to one another and compromise and understanding that life isn't about my way or the highway. Life is about learning from one another and bringing the new things that you learned from that person, from those artists, from that teacher, from that experience, from that adventure into the next adventure. Yeah, that's what I have to say about today. Let's grow. Let's change. Let's listen and create together. Hey, thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe. What are you waiting for? All right. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye.